course, very excited to have you, all the visitors here today. I looked at the list and I can see that we are, I don't know if you mentioned it in the beginning, but we're well over 60 people here today, visitors, and I think about 30 label producing companies. So there's a lot of friends in the room and a lot of experts in their own fields. And I think about a bit more than half or maybe 2/3 of you are existing HP Indigo users. So I think we will have questions that are a little bit different from you than maybe some of you who are here today who are not yet HP Indigo users. So, but most of all, and the most important I think is these guys, they are here for you, and we brought them all the way from Belgium and Holland to see you guys. So I mean, don't hesitate to ask any questions. I mean, for you who are new to digital, there are no strange or stupid questions, and these guys are here because they are very successful, not only technically in digital but in growth and in profit, and that's what we want. That's what we want all of you to be. So we saw the movies, and maybe we can have also a little bit of a background, or if we start with you, Robbert.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. My name is Robbert Vugh, Dutch name, so difficult to pronounce for you. I already started with HP Indigo in 2005. You saw it in the movie already. A very reliable technique, I think. We just started with the 4050. I still own it. It's still running on a daily basis today. But because of capacity, we needed, of course, more machines. And now we own two 6600 and still the old one. We do between 600 and 800 jobs every week. Last November 2013, we managed to do 1,000 jobs a week during the month of November. So 10 years ago it was not possible for me. And with the digital machines, digital technology, our own MIS system, and our automized ESCO repress department, it's possible to do 1,000 jobs a week very easily. We are 41 people working at the company. We have an annual turnover of 7.2 million euro and a profit figure between 15 and 20%. So that's what we do. I'm very happy with the HP Indigo technology, with the machines and with the support. And I think there are a lot of opportunities in the near future. That's what I am. Maybe I give the microphone to Niko.
Thank you, Robbert. St-Luc is a family-owned company. It's a family-owned company. We are in the packaging business for almost 15 years now. We have two companies, so folding boxes in France and labels of packaging in Belgium. 5 years ago, next to the labels, we introduced the shrink sleeves, and 3 years ago we introduced the flexible packaging. We were very late in the HP story because we waited for the ILP. So 3 years ago we were the first one worldwide to buy the 6600 with ILP, and we are very satisfied because less than 1 year later the second one came, and they are running both very well, and they are running together with the flexo presses, and they are running together with one old letterpress machine that we have to keep because it can do things that no other machine can do. But otherwise, the letterpresses were all thrown out because of the digital. And I think digital is something that has its place in a traditional company like ours. And also in the folding box, we are using for the very small ones and for the first run of the trials, we are using the digital one. So we are using it really as large as possible. So we use it for flexible packaging, we use it for shrink sleeves, we use it for folding boxes, and we use it of course for labels. And like Robbert said also, we do things that 5 years ago we could not do. Today we can print 5,000 labels in 120 different varieties because the client only needs 30 labels. When you should have said to us 5 years ago that we should print 30 labels. We should be laughing, and today we do it each day. So I think for traditional labels, for traditional printers, that's the difference between us. He is a digital, he never had the traditional part. We had the traditional part, we have the traditional part. Today we have 8 flexo machines from Alice, but next to it we have the digital. And both are growing because the digital makes your flexo growing and your flexo gives work to your digital. So it's a perfect combination, I think.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I have my own
Hi,
time.
Oscar.
Hi, it's good. So yeah, I think you can hear that there are two quite, I would say, quite different companies, two quite versatile. One you've always been digital, and you also come from the traditional side. So just before we shoot away with all the questions, I think we want to know. I mean, you said you were waiting for the ILP, but that's a technical term. But I mean,
my problem is that when you have a lot of materials, you have plastic, you have PE, PP, transparent, white, you have metallized, you have, in our case, shrink film, you have folding box, and you have that in stock. The problem is you can have those products in stock if treated. So we waited for the ILP so we can treat themselves. And that's a very good way to do it, because when you order pre-treated material at Avery or Raflatac, you never know when it has been treated. You never know, is it old, is it new, has it been done yesterday or 6 months ago. When you have your ILP, you put the paper on the machine or the material on the machine, you coat it, and immediately afterwards you are printing it, so it's as fresh as possible. And that's very important, to have always the same result, and to have every single material you can put on the machine. When you go on a gallows, on a traditional flexo machine, and you go from, from shrink film to standard paper, you have to make a lot of changes. On the HP, you don't have to make any changes at all. It's as easy as changing from as material and offset, and it's as strong as the flexo.
So I know when I tell my customers, you can basically print on anything, any substrate. It's sort of, yeah.
Almost anything.
Yeah.
Water is difficult.
So, yeah. But do you share that experience, Robbert? You have a lot of different stocks, a lot of different materials.
We also do a lot of hot foil stamping. We own 16 new foil small machines, hot foil stamping for the small runs. That's how we started 21 years ago. So for us it was a logical step to go into small runs digital printing. But because of the hot foil department we have over 80 materials on stock, all kinds of different materials. 80 different on stock. And when we bought the ILP, my life became very easy, because I could print on any material on stock and deliver it in 1 or 2 days to my customer. And you have to think about void materials, radiant materials, the silk material I mentioned in the movie, any material, and metallized paper. So the combination new foil materials, so not new foil materials, but materials which we use on our new foil machines in combination with the ILP, first ILP, then to the new foil machines, or the other way around. It makes everything possible, and that's really the big change for us. We were a 2.5 million euro company that time. And after we switched over to the ILP, in a few years' time we doubled our turnover, more than that. So it makes life easier.
Okay. So, who wants to start? Who wants to ask a question? They are not all here for the mini iPad, because they didn't know they were going to win one of them. So they actually.
But feel free to ask anything you like, because we're here now, so we can help you maybe with some questions you
have. Om ni
have.
inte är bekväma att ställa en fråga på engelska, så ställ den på svenska. Också Margaret eller dansk.
I was wondering about the EPM mode. Is that straightforward or no problems?
No. I have to be honest about that. We just started 2 months ago with EPM. To be honest, we couldn't find the time to test it first, probably because we had so many work to do. But 2 months ago we tested it. I made 10 jobs on it. It was really very easy thing to do. If I show it to my wife, she has no interest in digital printing whatsoever. And I show, no, that's true. She likes the money. She likes the money that we are earning, but to spend it in the shops. But she doesn't see the difference. And I showed her an EPN job of a beautiful sunflower sachet, flexible packaging. And what do you see? Oh, it's a nice sunflower. After that, I showed her the CMYK job. Do you see any difference? No, I don't see any difference. And running EPM is really easy. I would advise only start with new jobs and don't start with repeat jobs. I'm doing 10 jobs now at this moment, this month, and I didn't inform my customer that I'm going to produce it in EPM. So I'm very curious what will be the outcome next month, if anybody is going to complain or not. I don't think so, because the difference, you have to find the right jobs, of course. So no PMS jobs or one color jobs, but if you have the right full color job, the right CMYK job, you can turn it over easily to EPM. It's no problem at all.
Okay, so I just want to clarify for some of you here, if you're not familiar with EPM, it's Enhanced Productivity Mode. So it's basically a feature that allows you to produce a 4-color, well, any job, but in 3 colors, C and Y. So we remove the black color, and Ronen, you mentioned it before. So that's yeah.
I think it's a nice feature on the HP, but it cannot be the main reason to buy an HP. I think the main reason to buy an HP is the colors they have extra. Yeah. The green, the orange, and the violet, because that makes, we are a high level quality printing house. Means that we have 10 color flexo machines. That's not because we're printing CMYK, that's because we're printing labels in 9 and 10 colors. And till today, in the many SKUs that we have switched to the digital, we only had 2 labels that we could not print on the HP. And that is one with piglet pink, so very pink, that is quite difficult on the HP, and one with a very, very light green, that was also quite difficult. But we use, I think, 80% of our jobs are using one of the additional colors. Yes, you can use the C and Y, but it's not the main reason. It's a nice feature. It's like I should like to compare. It's like a start-stop on a Porsche 911 Turbo. It's nice, but it's not useful sometimes.
All right, that's good. I think a lot of you, we have, like I mentioned before, a lot of customers here today. I'm not sure if they're utilizing the press the way you are in that sense. We have a lot of them are running on CMYK and the white. So that's maybe something interesting to bring with you. So, more questions?
Sorry, I have a question. Maybe a question to you, Niko. It was very important also for you to match the conventional quality. So maybe you can elaborate on that, how you implemented digital to match HD Flexo.
Yeah.
What's your experience there?
Okay. So in Flexo we were printing HD Flexo, the technique from ESCO that maybe some of you are using also. And that was also the reason why we waited, because in the beginning digital was too good. When you introduce in your company digital and you're printing normal Flexo, the quality of the digital is too good. And we don't tell every customer if we are printing in HD Flexo or digital. We just switch labels and they have the same label as before. Today it's printed digital, like yesterday it was printed in Flexo, HD Flexo. So we waited for that moment that we could introduce HD Flexo to introduce also the digital. And so today the result in digital and the result in HD Flexo is as close as possible. It means that when we have a run of 200,000 labels and you have 100,000 labels of the same example, and then you have 10 different smaller runs. The smaller runs are going on the digital, and the big one is going in flexo. And at the end, the customer does not see the difference. So that's very important in a traditional printing house when you are introducing digital, that it can be next to your traditional labels, and that you don't see any difference at all. And then you have an graphic machine behind it. You can put in flexo the same varnish as you can do on your Gallus machine or your Neilpater. So that's very important, because he is selling digital labels, I'm selling labels, and it's my choice or my company's choice how we produce it. It's in the most profitable way. Sometimes it's digital and sometimes it's flexo. And to choose between it, therefore you have a calculation program and the difficulty of the label, the number of colors. And that's the reason why we also choose for HP, because you can take a Cycon, but you can never match with a Cycon the result of an HD flexo label.
And I can add something to it. We have different ways of views, how we look at the market. He's a traditional company, we are rather new company in the market. But the advantage of HP machines, you know exactly, if you use the right tools. We are using the Smart Planner from HP directly on our MIS system. So each job, I exactly know what the time is, what the costs are, and there are no surprises. And comparing to other techniques, you never know what the costs are exactly, because you have more waste, or you have more problems, or the ink coverage is higher than you expected, and you can have some bad surprises after you have finished the job. I never have to recalculate a job on my digital machines. I'm always good. The only thing that I don't know, if I don't know when I make the quotation, if I have to use the 5th or the 6th color, then sometimes I lose a little bit money because I calculated in four colors, and I'm not going to get back to the customer and say, okay, you ask a quotation for CMYK, but I have to use 5 or 6 colors. No, then I take that costs on my shoulder, because in the same number of jobs yearly, I also have the advantage that I can print it sometimes in 3 or 2 colors. So that will match. But when you have a job and you know what kind of color, how many colors it is, you never be surprised what the costs are, and never be surprised what the time is, and never be surprised what the waste is. You're always sure about the costs. That's the big advantage for me.
Okay. So also worth mentioning in Benelux there is
You had a question as well.
so just a quick in the back, Christian.
Ja, tack.
you go first.
Good morning. I have some questions about the inline priming. Were there any difficulties getting started? Do you have to use different kinds of priming for different kinds of materials, or can you say something about that?
Shall I repeat the question for you? Was it difficult to start with the inline priming unit? Do you need to use different primings and so on? No, it was very easy. I explained earlier that we are not a traditional company, so in the past, when we needed to print it on a special material, I always had to ask to a colleague, can you prime it for me? And I had to find out what kind of primer to use, and so on, and so on, and so on. After we installed the inline priming unit, we only use one primer for all the materials. And in the beginning we had some problems with metallized PP, but that's solved now. So we have no problems left. We only use one primer. The priming unit is very efficient. If you have a lot of jobs and you keep on running, there's no waste of time. The only waste of time is when you have a longer period than 10 minutes, I believe it's 10 minutes between 2 jobs, then he starts cleaning himself. So then you lose some time. So, but if you keep on printing the whole day, no problem at all.
Yeah. Is that answer your
But
question?
did you solve the problem yourself, or was it in cooperation with HP?
Which problem?
With you said you had some problems with.
Oh, with the midlife
like-
PP. No,
Yeah.
we solved it together with HP and Michelman. So now they developed something that's you can use for in my business for everything.
Perfect.
We never change. We never change plan.
So you can breathe out. It's Christian's machine is downstairs. waiting for
Yeah.
delivery, so.
I also have a question for St-Luc.
Okay.
You do shrink sleeve on the HP today? Yeah. Is that do you buy pre-coated?
No.
No.
So we also have only one primer, the same I think, it's also from Michelman's.
Yeah.
And we use this primer for normal shrinkle material and for folding box material and for standard sticky paper. So we only have one. The only thing we had to order is we are running different widths. So standards comes with only one roller and we had to order 3 more rollers. So 200, 250, 300 and 340. That was the only thing. You don't need to, but when you're running one day 250 meters, at the end of the day you see it on your rollers, so it will harm your rollers, so you have to switch the rollers, but that is something for 1 minute. Because that's true, you have to do it in less than 10 minutes, otherwise the thing starts cleaning itself, and that's horrible.
It's a waste of time.
Cleaning is a waste of time.
Okay. We had a question in the front. I think.
I was going to ask the same.
The same
Oh,
question.
okay.
Oh, that's
It's
good.
already settled. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Hello. Can you priority the most benefits when you go from the 4000 series to the 6000 series? The most benefits.
We never had a 4,000. We only had 6,000, but he had. I think the investment is less, but the costs are the same. But with the same cost, you're only printing half of the length. So, for my opinion, go for the 6,600.
I agree with that. Speed is twice, almost twice, so you can do a lot more jobs. That's a really big benefit. You can do more jobs a week. It's also a big. It's only a small difference, but the print width is a few millimeters more width. So that's also a big advantage. It doesn't seem like a big advantage between the 4000 and 6000 series, but in some sizes you can have 20-25% more labels on one impression, and the length, of course, the 980 millimeters makes life a lot easier. Before 2010, we couldn't print any labels over 450 in length. And now we print labels 560, 630, so that's also a big advantage. So at the same click price, more speed, more labels in one impression, that's all the benefit there is. Actually, we use the Smart Planner as our calculation tool. And when we installed our first 6000 machine, our calculation tool never choose the 4000 machine anymore. So we have to manipulate the calculation tool that the really small jobs, over 50 length meters or 100 length meters, we want to print it at the beginning, we want to print it on the 4000 machine, and we wanted to print the more larger jobs on the 6000 machine in 2010. But our calculation tool always said, no, you have to go to the 6000 because it's more efficient. So that says it all, because all the values that we put into the Smart Planner, it's the truth. If I put in a job, 1000 labels, 50 length meters, and he will go to the 6000 machine or the 6600 right away. And for me, it's not the only reason I still have the 4050 is for backup. And I need sometimes the capacity, but for cost efficient, I don't need it anymore. Is that a good answer?
You have talked much about the ILP. I think that must be a big benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said earlier, ILP makes your life easier because you don't have to change you don't have to change anything. You can just do any substrate next to each other, and no waste of time. Easy setup. So.
And one primer.
With one primer, yeah.
Thank you.
Don't worry about the primer. We were afraid 3 years ago when we started with digital. We were afraid about the primer also. Today we have one primer and it works for everything. And the priming is really not. It's like you varnish afterwards.
Yeah.
It's as easy as that.
Okay, Ronen, would you like to add something in terms of the discussion of the?
I think there's
Yes,
another question. Let's see.
I have a question. I think it's for St-Luc. In terms of break-even in running meters, when do you switch from digital to flexo?
It depends on a lot of things. But let's say that our switching point is about 1,500 meters. But it depends on the artwork, it depends on the colors. But let's say a 6-color job in flexo that we run on a Gallus RCS, when it's less than 1,500 meters, we will print it on the digital. But last week we made 8,000 shrink sleeves on the digital one because the artwork was not printable in flexo because it was a very light image of a baby boy in a garden with a lot of flowers, but very light also, and it was not printable in flexo. So we printed 8,000 meters in digital. So it depends really on the artwork, but let's say average 1,500 meters with one image. When you have 3 images, then you have to think about 4,000 meters.
It's a difficult discussion always. When is the turnover point to switch to digital or conventional? It's so difficult to give the answer because I have no conventional machines, so for me it's not so difficult. I only do the digital jobs. But for example, last week we printed on flexible packaging material 8,600 length meters, and I sold it for a fair price. So maybe if I had a traditional flexo machine, I would printed it in flexo. I'm not sure, but there is a market for it. 8,600, 4-color job, flexible packaging. I was printing for 2 or 3 days. It was beautiful. Okay. Beautiful job.
You're a traditional printer.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, when I came in contact with HP, our Dutch salesman told me, look at all the presses you have on each machine in flexo or in letterpress, because we had 6 letterpress machines in that moment. There are jobs that are too small for flexo or letterpress. And it's true because we started to look at it and we were amazed how many jobs we had that were small jobs. Even we have big runs, we have runs of 100,000 meters. And the Dutch salesman said, you will install the first machine and in the next 2 years you will install the second one because you will be amazed how many jobs you can go in the digital way. And he was right because less than 1 year later we bought the second one. And the first HP replaced 4 letterpress machines, and the second one threw out, except one, threw out all the other letterpress machines. So it's really, we were amazed also as traditional printers that we had such an amount of small runs. And the small run, the difference is when you have a 7-color job in flexo, you have to calculate maybe 600 or 700 meters waste, and then you have 500 meters or 1,000 meters real labels. So that makes a job of 1,800 meters, but it's not a job of 1,800 meters. It's a job of 1,000 meters because you're throwing away 800 meters. And now we print the same 1,000 meters and we throw away 20 meters. And that's the big difference. You have to look not at the total amount of meters you're using, you have to look at the meters that you use usefully, where you're printing on, and not where you're producing waste on. So that's the big difference. And that was where we also made the mistake at the beginning, because I looked at my jobs and I said like, less than 5% is less than 1,000 meters. Yeah, but we were producing 800 meters of leads for 200 meters labels. So that's very important to realize when you're a traditional printer.
Okay, thank you.
It's very interesting to hear you guys because it sounds like
Thank
you
you.
have the dream machine. There's only advantages, but do you have any cons?
If I be honest,
Yeah.
we have very few problems. Very few. Maybe it's not really a good question for me, because I have no flexo machines. I don't deal with the problems of conventional printing. I only do new foil printing, hot foil printing, so that's nothing to compare to with offset or flexo. So if you ask me the question, my honest answer is, I have very few problems with the machines. Of course, sometimes a new part has been ordered, but the service level of HP Indigo in the Benelux is very good. There's an engineer available within a few hours. My operators are trained on level 3 or level 2. That will help also a lot. But now, if there is nothing stupid going on, we have no problems at all. In 2 shifts, we do 2 shifts a day, so we start at 6 till 10 o'clock in the evening. And if there are any problems, it's almost a part that's going down or a software problem, but nothing really, no big issues. How's that with you?
We are not paid by HP
No.
to be here, so don't be afraid. As a traditional printer, not really. The investment is quite high, I have to admit. And another machine will yeah, you can put it in your accountancy for, let's say, 10 years. This one we choose for 3 years because it's high-tech technology, so I think in 3 years there will be something new. So it has been written off quickly. But no, there are not really disadvantages. We also print thermal paper. Thermal paper was a big issue because with the coating and the ink and the varnish afterwards, we were afraid that it should not work with thermal paper. It works perfectly well with thermal paper. The only disadvantage for me is the white. When you compare the digital white, one-time digital white compared to one-time flexo white, the flexo white is much denser, much whiter. So we always do twice the white. And that's the only disadvantage I have today. When they can improve one thing, that's the white. They need to improve.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with the white. We're working on it. But actually, I would like to give you the other side. We are dealing with many customers. So I can tell you 2 challenges that you will face. You will face doing the ramp up, you will face a challenge. It's a new technology, a new way of doing the business. Your operator is not to the level that needs to do. You're going through the training, but he needs to develop the expertise. So I would say that the first 3 months, usually those that are sitting here, they will tell you. It's not an easy time. It's to learn new processes, new technology. But this is, as long as you have the right expectation, it will be okay. The main challenge is actually to change the mindset. To change the mindset of the organization, because you need a sales force that needs to start focus not only on long runs, so you need to change their commission plans. You need to talk differently to the brands. You need to understand what other values you can bring to the market, and this is the main challenge. And those that manage to do that, to change, they are the one that really scaling fast.
Oh,
It is.
yeah.
What was funny also in our company is during the years that we bought new machines, new flexo presses, we never told the printers that we should buy a new one. It was just like, okay, the other ones are getting full, so we buy a new one. And the best printers went to the new machine. Here it was completely different. We informed before, because it was the first time that machines disappeared in our company, and because we throw out the letterpress machines. So we informed printers And in the beginning, it were the young printers who were very interested, and the old ones were like, digital, I'm too old for that. And today, our best printer on the HP is a guy of 56 years old, and he's level 3, and he was not a fan in the beginning, and he started when the first one came, he looked at it, and then suddenly he was in my office and told me, like, when the second one is coming in, I want to be the new printer for that machine. So he became from a very good flexo printer to a marvelous digital printer. So it's really something that you can teach young printers to old printers, and yeah, they are all today, they all want to print on the digital machine. And so we elaborated a system that we have a lot of printers for the digital, and the digital printers are still printing in traditional and vice versa. So it's really something that you have to introduce in a good way in your company, and look who is interested, but at the end they are all interested.
Okay. That's a lot of questions. Niko?
What about the finishing? How do you handle that? Inline, offline, or a combination?
The finishing, in my opinion, you have to do the finishing offline, because finishing takes much longer than printing, because you have to put printing plates on it. Well, we have a very big finishing line for graphics with 2 more flexo stations, and hot foil and embossing and lamination also. So it takes much more time to finish the labels than to print them sometimes. So we print them offline and we finish them, and the people who are finishing them are the people who were finishing before the standard, the normal labels.
So yeah, I think you're a 6600 customer. You have 2 6600. And Robbert, you have 2 6600. And the 4050, you also consider that it needs to be offline? Or
Yeah, we started offline because of the small jobs we have, and we still 80% of our jobs are still very small. So then offline is the best thing to do. I know some colleagues of mine, they are finishing all inline. So it's both possible. It depends a little bit of your order volume, but I prefer offline.
Yeah, sorry. When you
Oh, sorry. Now we have 2 together.
Sorry.
Ladies first.
Let's start. Yeah.
When the machines are running all day long, how much time are you using for cleaning?
Yes. The question regarding service and maintenance. In time.
I hope my operators use the daily, the weekly, and the monthly cleaning program HP trains us to do, and that's about it. So there's a I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think half an hour a day, an hour a week, and some more hours a monthly maintenance. But we don't have really a maintenance problem. If they clean the machines, if they do their job how HP tells them to do it, then it's all right. It's not really a lot of downtime. And if you don't have the time one day, you can easily do it the next morning or something like that. It's not a big problem. You agree?
It's half of the time of an 8-color flex machine. And flex machine, you have to clean it in the evening because the next day it dried and it's horrible. The HP, it's not a big problem and you don't have the time in the evening to do it the next day. But for us, it's half of the time of service and cleaning as compared to a normal flexo machine.
Yeah, you were telling before that you have to put 2 times white on labels to get a good surface. Have you had any problem with we have 100% coverage that on a film material that it will curl right after printing?
No.
No?
Never. And so we also do digital shrink sleeves.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have a high percentage of shrinking, even there the twice white is not a problem. But you have to keep in mind is that when they are shrinking automatically, and that is also something that they are solving now. The cough, so the gliding factor of the HP ink is not good, so you have to put a gliding varnish. But they are developing a new white, with a higher cough factor.
Okay.
But the white is twice white is never giving any big problem.
You just see the reason on some BOPP material after printing it's cutting.
Okay, no, I don't have.
Yeah, maybe that's more to do with the heat or something, not with the white.
I want to ask you guys about it today. So.
Okay.
The only problem is it slows up your machine a little, two
Yeah.
times white.
Oh yes, probably.
So we spoke a little bit about technical questions and cost related. In Benelux, I think we have somewhat 60 installations of the 6600. So it's a lot of competition, and it's the market is very much, I think, the same as we have in Scandinavia. But how do you differentiate yourself? I mean, 6600s, and I hear a year and a half is the average time before they go for number 2. So.
Niko has to answer is I think you have to do it on your own way. For each digital printing company, you have to find your own way to be competitive. We are searching that. We are searching that in our workflow. So a very fast workflow. Order confirmation with a proof confirmation within the same day, and delivery times, lead times, average 3-4 days. Now it's 5 days maximum at my company. This year I want to change it in average 3 days lead times, delivery times at the customer. That's how I do it. But there are different ways to look at the market. For Niko it's maybe more easy because he's not only a digital supplier, but he can tell himself how you see it.
The first HP for us was a no-risk investment because we had the orders. I mean, we just had to collect the orders from the other machines and put them on the HP. So the first one was a very easy investment. The second one was a little bit more difficult because for that machine we had to find the work. And finding the work for us was the capacity of making small runs in a very quick. Then I come on his side, very small runs in a very quick period of time. The digital orders today in our company are going out in 3-4 days. Flexo orders are going out in 7-8 working days. So that's the difference.
So I mean, you're both fully automation engine users, right? You both, and so that's the cost side of it, and you're all into that. But in terms of sales, Ronen mentioned it before, and we saw also the examples of the Coca-Cola we heard a lot about before. But really the market trends, and how, you also don't want to tell your customers that this is digital and this is traditional. But do you change your sales approach? Do you the added value of digital, is that something you're pushing for?
That's maybe something that Robbert is more specialized in.
I cannot tell you exactly the details, but last week I was in Israel, not only to watch the demonstration of the 20,000 and the 30,000, but also I had an appointment with another Israeli company who developed something like a mobile device to collect data. I'm going to print labels in future with a coat or with a layer or whatever. Consumers are going to use that label. They are going to share it on social media. I collect the data and sell it back again to the customer I originally sold the labels to. That's something I'm busy with at this moment. I develop a product together with an Israeli company, and maybe this will be a success. I'm not sure yet. Maybe it will not be a success, but I have to look into it because that's really the future also for us. In label and packaging, we still have a growing market. We can sit back and relax and wait till the orders come to us. That's still the actual situation at the moment. So there's a good market. We can find growth and anything. But if we do the same as the commercial market did 15, 20 years ago, and just waiting for orders and not change to the new developments, then in 10 years we are maybe also out of business. So we have to change. I'm trying to develop a new product now together with this company. If it will be a success, I will tell you in 2 years when I'm invited here again, and then maybe I can tell you about the new tool we developed. I think that's the future there, really.
I have to put a question to you. Both of you are a very profitable company. You're 100% digital, so 100% of your profit comes from the digital side. If you're only talking about the percentage side, how much of your production today are in conventional, and how much is digital in percentage, and how much of the profit comes from digital compared to conventional? Is this something you can disclose here?
Yes. Today we are printing 25% of our labels are printed digitally, and I think we have a profit of around 25%. In traditional, the profitability is about 10 to 12%. So it's double more profit. So now you can now you can say why don't you print everything digital, because today it's not possible yet. You cannot print 100,000 meters on a digital machine, but and especially because before the small, and that is something that you realize afterwards, the small runs on the flexo machines were not profitable anymore, and today they are the most profitable orders we have. So that's the difference.
Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. More questions? We have a lot of questions.
A question for Niko. Can you elaborate a little bit on the transition from flexo to digital, on the workflow processes and proofing processes? What did you go through in the organization, and also in terms of investment?
We had the advantage that we were already completely installed with ESCO software, and so it was not really that difficult. I mean, we sent the first file we sent to the HP after it was installed. The result was almost good. Where we put a lot of time in, because we are very critical, is in finding the right color in Pantone. Means that when we need 175, for instance, PMS 175, then when it's the very first time we print a grid, and we really are looking in that grid with the different possibilities, 3% magenta, 5%, 7%, 8%. We are really looking at that right color, and then we say that this combination is from now on the digital PMS 157. I think we are quite unique in that approach, but that's because we like I said, we converted flexo labels into digital labels, so we had to keep in mind the Pantone colors, because in flexo, like I said, we have 10 color machines. That's because we are printing a lot of times CMYK plus 3, 4, 5 Pantone colors. And when you have reflex blue, for instance, one of the difficult colors, and you are printing it in CMYK, it's not reflex blue, but when the client is used to have a label with reflex blue, you have to match the reflex blue on your digital machine. Like I said, in all those Pantone colors that we had, we only found 2 colors that we could not convert.
I want to add something to that. You have to have a good pre-press department. It's very important. Your pre-press people has to be trained very well to switch over from conventional to digital, I think. I have no experience to switch over, but I've seen a lot of companies around who made the switch. And if the pre-press department is too traditional, they will have a difficulty to switch over. So you have to train them well and prepare them for digital printing and ESCO. But really, after they understand it, it's a very easy step.
We had a question before, so sorry, from ESCO.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we talk a lot about the trends, promotions, campaigns, but all these are driven by the brand owners, right? Let it be global or local. So what kind of impact can a printer make in this whole story? Do you see yourself working with the B2C model at some point in future for labels?
I can give you an example. We have a client who makes cooked bread.
Pre-manufactured bread.
Pre-manufactured bread. So you have to just put it 2 more minutes in your oven, and to make the good feeling, he had 5 different images. Children together with the family in the morning, children in the classroom eating their bread, then a picnic on the beach, and so 5 images like that. And when we printed them for the very first time digital, we called the client and we said, "Do you have other images?" "Yeah, but it will cost a lot of money because of the printing place." We said, "No. Now today we can make different labels on one reel." Before you could also, but you only could do 4 labels because the label is about 10 centimeters and the printing length was 419 millimeters. But today we are printing a reel with 250 different images. And so now he has a lot of pictures where people are eating bread, and he is very, very, very pleased with it. So that's something that we can do now and that we could not do before.
Also, I would like to just ask you, Robbert, that you talk about very interesting things. So you're looking into a new business area where you get the statistics, let's say, how much is the consumption of the label, and you bring it back to the brand owner. There is a European legislation coming out 8 months from now where the content of the package has to be somewhere online.
Yeah.
So you can just scan the QR.
Yeah.
Is this something you hear from the customer already?
Yeah, you don't hear it from the customer already. There are some printers proactively tell their customers. That's changing next January 2015. So you can use that legislation to try to inform your customers that some things will have to be changed in the near future already. That can be from a big influence. If a package is in this size, and with all the information that will be on it necessarily next year, you have to change the label and the packaging material to this size maybe. So it's from a big influence. You can use this information to tell to your customers, but something else is also interesting. It's not only legislation. What I found out on D-Scoop in Rome last November, a few months ago, I think this is the beginning of working together. Everybody talks about the Coca-Cola example, but we can work together as smaller companies as well to tell our brand owners that we have something marvelous to work together on the same technique, the same color management systems, and so on, and provide them from variable data labels to labels who will bring the consumers to social media, and so on, and so on. Think about recipes, think about sharing information to, and also the added value for the brand owners, the sharing on the social media. So if you work together with a few private-owned companies in different countries, you can do on a smaller scale, maybe as Coca-Cola, the same idea. And I'm thinking we are standing on the first step of cooperating between different countries, and don't look at your own market anymore. Not only at your own market. Look at different markets and work together. That's something I think will be the future. Labels and packaging as well.
Okay, I think we're running out of time. We need to wrap up. I'd like to thank you guys a lot for coming here and sharing this. They are 2 very open customers. I'm sure you will have more questions and thoughts. And just post them to me or to change connections.
When you come to the Benelux, I'm also a HP demo house, so if you want to visit me, you're always welcome. Maybe some people of you already have been to VILA etiketten, but everybody's welcome. But please let me know in advance because I have to be there.
The same for us. When you're a little bit afraid of digital and you still want to smell the real Flexo ink, you can come to our place because the digital machines are next to the Flexo machines, so they are aromatized a little bit with Flexo ink.
Thank you very much.